Well, welcome everybody. Very happy to have you join us. I'm here with Laurie, and we're introducing our new product, Actify Automotive Program Management. But let's start by providing a brief introduction to Actify. Actify may be a new name to many people attending the session, but there's a good chance they know our products, right, Laurie?
That's right, Peter. Thank you. And hello, everybody. Actify is the company behind Spinfire, the most popular CAD viewer in the market, and also Centro, a product we introduced about 5 years ago to provide unified control of product information.
And today's new product is Actify Automotive Program Management, which we call APM. So how do we get from Spinfire and Centro to a program management solution?
Well, it was a pretty logical progression. There's about 85% of our Spinfire customers are already in the automotive supply chain, because one of the drivers for visualization is finding a universal tool for interacting with all the different formats that suppliers like you encounter with their OEM customers. We found that a similar percentage of our Centro customers were engineering and program management teams looking to organize all their program information by program and by customer. Several of those customers asked us over the last few years to build some custom program management functionality on top of our Centro platform tool. And APM is now providing a complete package solution purpose-built for top-tier auto suppliers.
And some of those Actify customers are also Plex ERP customers, right?
Yeah, in fact, most of our Centro users are also Plex customers.
Now, Plex has extensive program management capability, much more than other ERP systems offer. So we should probably explain the relationship we see between Actify, APM, and Plex. And for that, we need to talk about what makes automotive suppliers different. So I'm going to pull up a couple of slides here. And the first one is showing the typical new product introduction for a discrete manufacturer. And of course, a discrete manufacturer is making typically its own products, and they have full control of the product development process. So if you look at the chart here and the little blue line along the middle, that's the product life cycle. And you'll see that they go through design, engineering, all the way to mass production, and all the way to the right of this slide before the point of commitment to the customer. So they can take what steps they want, take what time they want, make decisions they want, and everything is under the manufacturer's control all the way through to point of commitment. And also by that stage, all the information that's needed for ERP to do its magic is in place. The bills have been produced, the parts are there, the pricing, the forecast, packaging, tooling, costing, everything you can think of. And so at that point of commitment, sales and production orders are launched and everything progresses in a logical fashion. So that's the standard manufacturing setup. But automotive suppliers are different. Automotive suppliers, first of all, are building a product specifically for, in the program environment, specifically for a particular OEM customer. So it's not their own product, and they're not as in control of the situation. And specifically, they make point of the commitment to the customer at award. So they win the business, they've gone through the bidding process, they receive the award, and at that point, they've made their commitment in terms of pricing and delivery. And from that point forward, everything they're doing is monitored, improved, and approved by the OEM. So that whole business of developing the bill of material, the engineering BOM, the manufacturing BOM, figuring out any supplied parts, pricing, forecasting, all those things are happening before everything is fully loaded into the ERP system. So no matter how good the ERP system is at program management, there is this period, which is typically 6 to 9 months, before everything is in place and the program is ready to go into full production. It's launched and ready to go. And there's a gap, therefore, between that point of commitment and when ERP is fully engaged. And what we found is that the majority of suppliers are using pretty basic tools to build their own systems to bridge that gap. And it's that gap where programs are typically managed by spreadsheets that Actify APM is designed to fill. So Laurie, we have a very different situation for our automotive suppliers, and they're just using these very basic tools for this very critical part of their business.
So yeah, Peter, it's amazing to think that program teams whose role is so critical, as you mentioned, to the success of their companies predominantly are using things like Excel and MS Project due to the lack of enterprise software designed around their needs.
That's right. We've met with many automotive suppliers, top tier suppliers at this point, and we surveyed hundreds more. And these are the folks who are working directly with automotive OEMs. And it's rare to find a company that doesn't have homegrown program management software, usually with spreadsheets as their primary tracking tool. In fact, program managers have become software developers out of necessity because they've not found good solutions on the market. I should add that although suppliers are using software they've developed in-house, these really are sophisticated systems, and they embed each supplier's proprietary business processes. A packaged solution cannot lose that ability. It has to work the way they do.
That is why we've been working with our customers to deliver a purpose-built solution that is enterprise class and retains all the flexibility they need. In fact, we think that because we're using more advanced technology, it is even more adaptable and flexible than what's out there today.
All right, we promised these folks a demo, and we need to get to that as quickly as possible. But let's give everyone just a quick overview of the overall suite. And we should stress that we're announcing first availability right now and our first customers right now at PowerPlex. And the whole suite will get built out over a number of years.
Here's what the suite will offer. It includes an updated Centro, which serves as our platform, in 3 new applications. We will offer a program development application for the business development team to manage their RFQ response process and bid submission. This looks at that pre-award stage of the program lifecycle. Next comes program management, which we will demo here in a minute. This is the program lifecycle, as Peter's mentioned, from award through typically the first 90 days of production. That is when the plant takes over, and of course, ERP is fully engaged. However, program managers may continue to manage ongoing customer-driven engineering changes. Then there's program analysis, which we see as both a reporting system and a means to capture and retain lessons learned. This is so important for consistent performance and ongoing improvement. We will be capturing bid and program outcomes, as well as tracking issues, risks, and decisions. When a new bid or program is started, we'll be able to present the new team with the collective experience that has been accumulated from prior relevant bids and programs. That's going to provide a ton of value. And underneath it all is our Centro platform, which is where all the data is stored, user permissions are managed, and a lot of other services that 3 applications consume.
Okay, Laurie, let's see what we've been talking about. Let's show folks the demo.
Okay, everybody. So here we go with our demo, or we like to call it a preview, as we're still working on some components of what we're about to show you. And to get things kicked off, this is our Actify program management application. And up here in this left-hand corner is how you would navigate through the APM suite, as well as Centro, which is the platform. And I had previously mentioned that the platform of Centro is how we're managing files, as well as permissions and some other services. I'll talk about that as we go through. But what you're looking at right now is the home page of the program management application. So in essence here, you have a lot of columns of information. We call it properties of the program that you might find useful as you're managing your programs, or you might find mandatory, I should say. So here we've got some thumbnails if you'd like a visual representation of the program for that quick view. We find that helps to have that visual, especially when you're collaborating across geographies. The program name, description, and then we have a bunch of other default fields here: customer name, model year, commodity, etc. But in this column to the right, you can add additional properties. So you might want to also look at a high-level view: program duration, program state. I'm going to select an internal product number and a manufacturing location. You'll be able to customize all these properties to whatever you use internally in your business. So if there's something missing here today, you'll have the ability to show that information that's pertinent to you and your teams. So what I've done is I've added those additional columns of information. You can also sort by all of this. You can sort by the program state. So if you want to look at all your programs that are on hold, you might want to look at all your programs that are being manufactured in a certain location. That's what all these filters are for. What we're looking at right now is I've filtered by customer. So I've just selected, for example, Aston Martin and Rivian. And then I've also selected in my program filters to show all these program states. So we're looking at active, archive, canceled, and change request pending. There's more, completed or on hold. So we realize that your programs go through a life cycle, just like your own product life cycle when you're manufacturing and designing things. You can create a new program from this page, which I'll show you a little bit further on. But first, I'm actually going to select a program to go in and see what it looks like. Before I do that, a couple other visual indicators that you'll have at this all programs level. You might want to call this your executive level dashboard. You'll be able to see at this level, are we red, yellow, green? We're going to have that stoplight system that so many suppliers use today to show at a high level, are we on track with the program? Do we have something to be cautious about? Or have we entered the red? Are we going to be late on a particular build, for example? The other thing that will also be here is some indication of critical issues. So you'll be able to see, are we on time and how many issues do we have currently in this program? The next level down, you click into the program. I'm going to select this Aston Martin rear package tray. Now we're inside a single program. So you can see here, it's the program home. Some of those properties that you saw for the all programs page are listed here. You can scroll if you'd like to see all of them, or you can hit show all. Over here is a Spinfire web file. A lot of our clients already use Spinfire Ultimate, which I mentioned earlier on is a very popular visualization tool in the market. This is a lighter version of Spinfire. We do have features where you can comment and take snapshots on a particular version of a Spinfire web file to add some more collaboration while you're working through your programs. You can attach those files to this program. So scrolling down a little bit, we've got here a representation of your workflow. So whatever your product lifecycle workflow happens to be, you can create any number of templates to represent that. This particular program just happens to fall into 5 phases. So for this example, we were going to be design responsible. So the supplier that's working on this for Aston Martin is designing the rear package tray as well as manufacturing it. So we just used a fairly simple AI-AG APQP process here. And within each of these phases, if you click into them, got a little bit of a scrolling item that we'll work on before we get this launched, is each of the tasks that were set up in the template that we created. And again, I'll show you how to create that template. So back to this all task view. In the short term, if you want to see what tasks you are assigned to personally, you can just come in here and type your name, and this will pull up everything that you're responsible for. We do plan to have something called My Dashboard. So there'll be another area where you can go in and see what is assigned to me. What are my due dates coming up? What approvals am I responsible for? In the meantime, this is a way that you can go through the data and see what you are responsible for. So now I've typed in my name, Lori. So here's all the tasks that I'm responsible for. Here's the target completion dates. Another piece that we'll have here is a visualization queue so that you'll be able to see how far through phase 1 you've progressed. So let's say you're 50% through your first phase. Maybe we'll have a color coding here that shades 50% of that, or a visual over here that overlays your milestones. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into phase 4. And you can see here, these are all the tasks, again, that were created in a template And you can create as many templates as you need, depending on what processes you're running, who your clients are, and what services you're offering. Over here in this left-hand side, you've got a visual here that this particular program is on hold. Again, we're in this program homepage, but we also have this concept of folders here. So this is how you can organize your information. So this is the root folder, which is the same name as your program. And I have these folders: CAD, engineering documents, quality specs. Within the quality specs, I've created a subfolder called subquality. And we also have study files folder, background info, and design doc. You can create as many folders as you need. You can create subfolders. It all depends on how you run your process today. So one of the keys that I'm going to keep stressing is how flexible this is. So you can create, as I mentioned, as many folders as you want. You can lock down who has the ability to create folders. You can also clone folders so that you're not recreating these every time you go into a project. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the quality specs folder. And you can see here, there's a number of files that were uploaded. A couple features to mention here is, right here, we've got a version. Right now, you see all these files are at version 1. But because we're using our central platform as the underpinning to this application, you're going to be able to control these files through this interface. So let's say you need to make some updates to your control plan. You can check that out so that only one person or one user can be working on that document at a time. You'll be able to see the user that has the document checked out. And then when they check that document back in, it will up-rev to version 2. You can also make it so that when someone's checking an important document back in, that it requires a comment. So if you want to have that control of what's been modified, you can do that through permissions. Another thing that you can do through here is you can specify who can have permission to a specific document. So maybe your design documents or your cost documents, you want to lock it down another level. Right now, permissions are controlled at a program level, who can read and write. You can also put on an additional at that file level. You can select all these files and you can export them. It will turn it into a zip file that you can then send to either your customers or somebody else within your organization. Again, it's about collaborating. It's about keeping all this information in one location and having that version control. So I'm just going to back to my program homepage. But again, those folders are there. And down this left-hand side, I'm going to skip over the catalog and setup for just a moment, is another representation of your product life cycle. So we've got our 5 phases here. And then if I click into the program planning, much like I did here, these are the tasks. And then as part of those tasks, these are the outputs of the task. So think of these as deliverables of the tasks. So in your kickoff meeting, as an example, this particular task is a work in progress. You can see that. You can upload files. You can add them from your own machine and file server, or you can add them from Centro. This is just another example. Maybe we want to upload some program cost information. And then down here in our kickoff meeting summary example task, we're asking someone to fill out a form. So that's what this little icon designates. So again, it's about keeping information in one place. All right, so I've now clicked into what we're using as phase 2 here, and I've gone to my design review with a customer, and I've clicked on this form, customer design review. And I just wanted to show you a few things. You can fill out this form, and I'll show you how you can create a form quickly. And over here, you've got a details and an activity. So this is the area where you can see if you've set this particular task or output of a task to have an approval. This is where you'll see that information. This is also where you can see dependencies that you've built into your workflow. And then there's an activity tab here that will show a log of everything that's been done on this particular item. So I'm just going to type in a piece of information just to demonstrate that quickly. Now you can see that the activity has updated. So now imagine you're at the end of your phase gate for phase 2, and maybe you've got 4 different people that need to approve this. This is the area that you're going to be able to see that approval information. I'm clicking into the setup area. So this is where you come, you've created that new program, and now you need to actually fill this out. You're the program manager kicking off a program. So you're going to add all that program information, maybe it's duration, quantity, and every piece of information that came from your bid process. Then you go into the workflow. So again, you're going to see that template that you set up. This is where you go in and start assigning people, target dates, due dates. You can add tasks on the fly if for some reason the template that you're using, you're missing something. And this is very similar to tools you might use today if you're using Microsoft Project, but I would argue it's not as flexible. Here's where you would set up your team. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new team role. So I'm going to say we've got a production engineer. Because that's not already in the database, I'm adding this role on the fly. That's now a team role that other users can use in future programs. So now we've got that, and then we can select from our users that are in the system who's going to be on that team. You can also sort on that all programs page by these team roles. So if you want to see everything that design engineer Larry's working on, you can filter that way. Permissions, again, you would go to the Centro to set up permissions on your program, so read and write, and then also those file level permissions. And then you can add those Spinfire web files that I mentioned. And then here you can change the program state. Okay, so now we're in the area where you create and modify templates. So for this template that we've already set up, we've got 5 phases. So if I were to just open that and I wanted to start modifying this, I can just start deleting tasks, or I can create a new phase if I want. So let's just call this, let's pretend a change came in and we need to re-engage with our program manager. So we're going to add that phase, and we're going to just add a few tasks. I'm just going to, for speed's sake, I'm just going to add a few tasks. New task 2, just trying to demonstrate how quickly you can add tasks and phases. So in my new task 2, this is the area where you add your outputs. So if I wanted to attach more files to this, or if I wanted to add a form, and this is also where you say certain tasks or outputs of tasks require an approval. This is also the area where you would set up dependencies. And dependencies are very important for cascading changes when there's a change downstream of something you've done. Let's just say you get a new supplier quote and you need to rearrange some things in your program, either your schedule or in your budget information. We can highlight through dependencies and send notifications to people when there's been a change downstream that affects something you've already approved or already have accomplished. So now that I've got this new phase, I'm going to click Publish. And then I'm just going to go to the home page to show you this is all the templates that we've already created. So you can create any number of templates that you need, whether it's by your OEM, whether it's by the fact that you're design responsible, or any other services that you offer. And just to show you real quick, to create a template, it's very simple. I'm just going to put chicken scratch for the moment. And then again, you start adding your phases. And then you would start adding your tasks. It's very, very simple. Once you've created your templates, and let's say you get a new customer, then you can start cloning templates and then just modifying only what you need to.
That's great, Laurie. And as you know, we have a customer advisory board that has given us input and feedback. And if there's one thing they keep telling us, it's make it easy. Don't give us another system that's hard to learn and complex to use, because adoption is so key. And it seems like our team is really taking that to heart. Now, we've seen how users can model their processes and create new capabilities on the fly. That's because underneath, we're using something called graph database technology.
That's right. We're taking advantage of several technologies that specifically allow us to build a program management solution. The graph database, as you mentioned, is key. Unlike the databases used for most business systems, we don't dictate the structures that can be used. APM users can create any phase gate system they need, add any process they need, and the database responds organically. Also, it understands relationships between data. So it's easy and fast to find all programs for Ford that were built at Plant 6 that had certain part characteristics. Other technologies include our own visualization, which enables our communicate, collaborate, comprehend philosophy. Of course, the product is built on the Microsoft Azure cloud computing platform. To demonstrate what we're working on in the areas of integration and automation between this APM suite and an ERP, for example, potentially CRM, PLM, we're going to focus on the Plex integration today. So I'm back in my Aston Martin program for the rear package tray, and I'm in phase 4. So the scenario that we have here is that we want to do a pre-production run. So this is ready to start. Our target start date to run that pre-production is starting November 2nd. The final piece and component that we're waiting for from one of our suppliers is the GPS antennae. So we're expecting to receive those goods in by November 26th in order for us to do this final assembly of our pre-production run. Our supplier for the GPS antennae has gone to procurement and informed them of a 2-week delay in receiving these goods. So now we're in the Plex UX interface, and we're in the supplier area where procurement is managing the POs for the various suppliers that we're working with on our program. Procurement has gone into the Plex ERP system to show that 2-week delay that the supplier has reported for the GPS antenna. So you're probably familiar with these screens in Plex, or if you're not, your procurement folks surely are. So they're updating the due date for when we're going to receive this antennae. When we have these automations set up, we can trigger so that that update of that delivery date will automatically populate here back in our APM program management application. So now when you're back in the program and we're in phase 4, where we're doing our pre-production run, this date will be updated to match the date that was put into Plex ERP.
I see it, and I see the schedule in APM has been updated.
Yes, in this case, we're monitoring Plex for certain changes that can occur. And as soon as that date changes, it triggered an update to APM. So the program manager no longer has to go into Plex and check, or another ERP, or call a colleague in procurement. It's automatic.
That is going to make such a big difference for our customers, particularly at scale, because program managers are tracking so much information. But there's a lot more that our integration can do, right?
Oh, yes. So there's things like processing the original file packets that suppliers receive from their OEM customers. We've actually done that in Central for a while now. We monitor a folder for new contents, which often can be hundreds of files. We automate the conversion of CAD files. We can distribute those files and notifications so that people that need specific information receive that. Then there's also processes like our BOM push, where we upload a new or updated BOM into Plex. And of course, there's many automations that our customers might want between the APM system and, as we've mentioned, ERP, could be CRM or PLM or even a QMS. In fact, any team or system involved in program management workflows, we can automate any of those updates.
That's great, Laurie, and a great way to wrap things up.
Well, to summarize, we're providing a purpose-built solution for top-tier auto suppliers that will replace your internally developed systems. It uses enterprise technology, and enables program managers to collaborate much more effectively with team members across departments, across locations, and across systems. It will give users at every level oversight of task and program status, one system of reference with just the program information that the team and company executives need to see progress, anticipate problems, and communicate with your customers.
Yes, it's going to raise productivity, but the bottom line is it will prevent mistakes and boost on-time delivery, consistent and predictable performance, and financial success. Thank you, Laurie, and thanks everyone for joining us. If you're watching live at PowerPlex, our team is standing by to answer your questions. And if you're watching the recording, here's how to start a conversation. Again, thank you, and thanks to Plex for inviting us to show you how we make program management unstoppable.